I love you, great sword. You mean everything to me.
Josh, it's time to tell people the current monster roster. You're meant to do this.
We're going to go into Rise together. Wonderful Rise. And kill everything. As one.
Look, whatever you're doing, can you please just do it on your own time? It's been a huge roster update and really overdue making this video.
We're going to find Goss and love our great swords together.
Oh, Jesus Christ, I'll do it myself, never mind, just go somewhere else, please. Hello, my name is Hollow, this is a Rage Gaming video, and today, you may have guessed this, but we're talking monsters. As Rise progresses, we get closer and closer to that release date, and as we go, we learn more and more about what monsters will be in this game. With that recent third trailer, and also our hands-on with that demo, we have had even more monsters revealed, so let's talk about it. As it stands, we now have at least 40 plus monsters confirmed, and even more implied, but first, let's absolutely blast through the ones we already knew from previous trailers. The main set we knew of were originally Toby, who's going to get munched by Magna, that spider monster we still don't know the name of, Aknosom with its ballerina moves, the great Izuchi, who we've now fought in the demo with Azuros 2, who is also going to be eaten by Magna, the poor guy, Tetranadon, the huge chunk with his cool turtle armor, and of course, Magnamalo himself, the flagship monster for Rise. I'd be amiss if I did not mention that in our most recent trailer, we got some proper gameplay of that big boy, who is about the size of a Zinogre, I'd say. He has lots of beautiful purple effects on lots of his various attacks, but it certainly seems like we're going to see a lot of tail attacks with Magna, who will use it for direct stabbing or whipping around for purple balls at range. Or hey, that insane turf war with Rathalos. It looks like Wrath just tries to fly away, and Magna says, no, you're going nowhere. Literally grabbing him in the air and then throwing Rathalos at us from the sky. God damn, that's like barely a turf war, more of just another attack that Magna will use. Let's move on though to the second set of monsters shown in trailer 2, in which we got a good look at some proper new monsters as well as a bunch of returning ones. Firstly, we have the Somnacanth, inspired by Japanese mermaid mythology, and the Bishaten, inspired by the Tengu, another Japanese myth. These new types of monsters are all relevant to that type of mythology, and I really like that concept and design. We also saw the return of Leviathan types in Rise, like the Royal Ludroth, aka Big Sponge. More so, we have Great Baggy, who's going to be putting us to sleep. We have Khezu, who's probably going to be in your nightmares during said sleep. And there's also the third of that set, the Great Roggy, who's going to poison us. Plus the classic duo of Rathalos and Rathian are both back, with us fighting Rathian in that demo. If you'd like more of a chat about each of the monsters from, say, trailer 2, definitely check out Rage's earlier video all about it. He goes into detail about what the new monsters do, just like I'm going to do for trailer 3. Those are all the proper monsters we knew about from the first trailers and showcases, but we also do know quite a lot of smaller creatures as well now. Obviously, the small Izuchi and the Jagras, which we've seen in the demo too, but also creatures like the Kelby goats, Bullfango boars, the Chonky Guaga, or the insects, Banahabra, or the ant-like Alteroth. Plus, from trailer 2, we also see Slagtoth, Roggy, and Baggy. The Ludroth, to go with the Royal Ludroth, will naturally be in-game, and also the Gadua fish, which are found in the Shrine Ruins too. But now, let's talk about the recent reveals from both trailer 3 and the demo. Now we know a bit more about what's coming in the ice region of the Frost Islands. We got to see a nice little set of monsters we should all be happy to see again, but before we worry about any returning monsters, come on, we need to talk about Goss. Goss Harag is a totally new monster coming in Rise. He's a fanged beast, and as a new monster in Rise, he is inspired by Japanese myth. This is comparable to the troll type of Oni, who during New Year, they'd terrorize villages and kidnap people, and not so friendly demons essentially. Goss is covered in this big white and brown fur, while its face and limbs are bare and more scaled by comparison. Interestingly, those scales, as we saw in gameplay, will change from blue to red when he enrages, and he also has an eye effect like Nagakugas, you know, where they have that eye trail when moving around quickly, but this time it's in yellow. Mechanically though, the dude is incredible, easily my favorite of the new monsters. By inhaling cold air, he can freeze liquid at will, which allows him to freeze his own spit, which creates this awesome ice blade to use in combat. God, it's so cool. But instead of just using it for that sword, he also uses this air attack to blast targets with his ice breath, and he can create shockwaves from huge impactful hits, even able to leap around in the air and move at pretty surprising speed. Essentially, he's a heavy and strong type of monster for sure, but with intelligence to make its own weapons. Just fantastic. I love him. But now let's talk about some of those returning monsters we've seen in the rest of the trailer. First up, we have Lagombi, the big bear, or maybe Rabbit is back. The big fluff ball was easily one of my favorite starting monsters in GU, because yes, I like rabbits. And in the trailer, we see that big belly doing the iconic slide, which I bet will be even more dangerous and speedy in Rise, obviously to go with our new wirebug movement. Now, due to those big ears, if you don't know, Lagombi has crazy hearing, which does leave it vulnerable to loud sounds like, yes, sonic bombs, so I'm sure we're going to get good use out of those again. And in that trailer, we do see the classic snowball attacks that are going to be yeeted at us at terrible speed. After that, we get a couple monsters we've already seen, but we get a bit more of a look at, like, for example, Khezu, which I swear is smiling more in this video, and I don't like it. The thing that bothers me most about Khezu is definitely its neck, how it whips and stretches it at will so suddenly it's legit disgusting. We also see Great Baggy in action in the trailer here with the pack, but more importantly, during that gameplay, we see the Khezu hunting horn, which is, as per usual, disgusting. But I'm also looking forward to seeing more of the Khezu weapons now we've seen the hunting horn and the insect glaive again. But look who's back! Tigrex returns once again to lose his shit and wildly leap around everywhere, screaming constantly delightful. Tigrex the poor fella is the monster shown for the new Wyvern Ride mechanic, being forced to be our weapon of choice for this trailer. During proper battle though, I'm sure we'll be seeing lots of insane leaps and speeds in general, those concussive roars if you're too close at the wrong time, or of course those rubble shots which can be used as an attack during ride. But during that mount, we see the Barioth is suddenly back as well. It's only a bit of a small glimpse of Barioth, pretty comparable to Tigrex actually. This big saber-toothed monster is, yeah, similar size and body shape and obviously super aggro in nature. Since our movement is less limited in Rise, I expect both of these monsters are going to be less limited and even more agile to match our new movement speed. And that's further backed up by the reveal of Mizutsune. Returning at last is another Leviathan type who we did not see in World, who's part of the Fated Four. Surprise, surprise, he has been the main monster that we've been hunting in the demo so far, which has been a lot of fun. Mizu is honestly one of the most beautiful monsters in all of Monster Hunter. He's like an Eastern-style dragon. However, unlike a dragon, it secretes its own fluid and then rubs that against its scales and generates bubbles. Those bubbles are meant to immobilize targets, forcing them to slip and slide or get stuck entirely, which then allows Mizu to move in and finish the already stuck prey, kind of like a spider and web. As I've been saying, I think monsters have been given a bit more speed in Rise, shown perfectly with Mizu, who's even more slidey, more springy, and yeah, even more bubbly in Rise. The bubbles come out more often, move in new dangerous spirals, and he can do more attacks like the Water Blast or the Sliding Water Beam, which is just amazing, which is perfect to dodge with our new wirebugs, obviously designed with them in mind. That's why I think a lot of returning monsters are also going to be improved in this way. Hopefully it is true. Plus, in that last trailer, we do see some smaller creatures that obviously make sense in the icy region. The Anteka, which are basically Chad Kelby, and of course, the Popo. The Popo are back, thank God. The greatest small creature that's ever been created. Frankly, it's not small, it's huge. Sorry, I like Popo. If we do look at our hunter notes in the demo, we can also see the small creature list, right? Which gives us lots of good details about what we'll find in the map that we're playing. In the Shrine Ruins, we see mention of the feline and melinx, which are basically wild palico. We can find them in-game at the camp, which is a place where they store all of their stolen treasure, the absolute jerks. And though we already knew this, we do have it confirmed that the Bombadji are listed here as small creatures rather than endemic life. And it also lists the Remobra, the tiny flying wyverns, often found near Elder Dragon locations, which is interesting, which I believe we spot at the start of Trailer 3. Another monster that's very important to mention is the one that was pretty casually revealed that I first saw in a Twitter clip. Yes, Anjanath is also returning, coming from World into Rise, and I'm very happy about that. For World, this T-Rex type was definitely my favorite in the Ancient Forest part of the story. He's just a fire T-Rex. It's a very simple but great concept, and I just think it's great to see here a few mount attacks as well. Now, before we finish this video, I should mention a few monsters that I think are likely or are just simply referenced. I think it's very likely we're going to see the Great Jagras in Rise, since we do see small Jagras in the demo and all over the trailers. To be fair, we have seen small ones without Great Jagras in the game in the past, but it does make a lot of sense to have the Great Jagras back, as as the starting monster to me. We'll have to wait and see though, but more exciting to me is the Tetsucabra. The big frog type was definitely my favorite of the starting monsters in GU, and actually the first full armor set that I crafted. The reason we mention this one is because the guild leader in Kimura is literally riding one as a mount. Yeah, this one is a baby one, but it's still one. This really gives me Stories vibes. You know, this is a baby version of a monster being rode as a mount, so you gotta wonder, will we see other baby monsters like this? Another implied monster would definitely be the Volvidon, which is part of the trio of Azurus, Lagombi, and the Volvidon. Basically the big bear types, with this one being the one found in volcano regions. I mean, it makes a lot of sense to see Volvi and Rise, because we see the other two, but interestingly, in that Barioth clip, we see a longsword that seems to be made from either a Gobel or, yes, Volvi. Like I say, I think it makes sense that Volvi is going to be the one here because of the trio aspect, but maybe we could also see that terrifying fish, the Gobel, as well. Also, because Mizutsune is back, I wonder if we'll see the other of the fated four, like Gammoth, Glavenus, and Astalos. Glavenus was in World, but the other three were not, but I don't know, something in Rise makes me think we will see them. I mean, Gammoth would fit perfectly into the Frost Islands, and Glavenus was in World, so I would assume he'd be back in Rise. But most of all, I'd just love to see Astalos again in an updated model, because I think his wings would look so cool. Lastly though, Zoromagdaros' skull was shown in the middle of the Frost Islands trailer. Similar to the Guiding Lands, we see remains of that giant monster as part of the map. I don't think this necessarily means we'll have to deal with Zora again in combat, maybe just more likely map decor. I mean, personally, I've never been into siege fights, but maybe with, you know, new wirebug movement, it could be a bit better. But that is everything I have for Rise monsters confirmed, implied, or otherwise so far. What do you think? Are you happy with the roster that we have so far? Obviously, we still have a lot to see. I mean, we still haven't seen proper details of the spider monster, and certainly there's going to be more monsters revealed. So far, I love the new Rise monsters. God, I love how Goss looks with his sword, and the armor and weapon in game are awesome, because if you didn't realize, that's the set the greatsword user is using in the demo. Anyway, I've been Hollow, you've been you, and I'll see you next time.